Once upon a time, in a quaint village nestled deep within the eastern mountains, there lived a humble and wise old man. He was known to possess a profound understanding of life's mysteries and was sought after by people from far and wide for his sage advice. One day, a group of curious villagers decided to visit the wise old man. They had heard rumors of his wisdom and wanted to seek his counsel on the secret to a fulfilling life. They trekked up the winding mountain path to reach his modest hut, nestled amidst towering trees and surrounded by the tranquil beauty of nature. Upon arriving at the old man's hut, they found him sitting peacefully in meditation, his eyes closed and his breath steady. They waited patiently for him to finish his meditation, understanding that his wisdom was well worth the wait. Finally, he opened his eyes and beckoned them to sit around him. "Welcome, dear friends," he said with a serene smile. "I sense you seek answers to the mysteries of life." The villagers nodded in unison. "Yes," they replied, "we have come seeking your wisdom, for we have heard that you hold the key to true contentment and success." The old man nodded thoughtfully and began to share his story. "Many years ago, when I was a young man, I too sought answers to life's profound questions. I journeyed far and wide, studying under the greatest masters and scholars of our time. Yet it was not until I met an old hermit high in the mountains that I discovered the true power of silence." He continued, "The hermit lived a simple life in a cave, far away from the noise and distractions of the world. He spoke very little and preferred to communicate through gestures and expressions. Intrigued by his way of life, I decided to stay with him and learn his wisdom." The old man paused, letting his words sink in, and then continued, "For months, I lived in silence with the hermit. During this time, I observed his daily routines. He would rise with the sun, meditate in the morning, and tend to his small garden. He would eat simple meals and spend his days in quiet contemplation. He rarely spoke, yet he seemed to have an uncanny ability to understand the needs of those who visited him." The villagers leaned in, captivated by the old man's tale. One day, the old man continued, "A group of travelers arrived at the hermit's cave. They were exhausted and famished, having lost their way in the mountains. They spoke to the hermit, explaining their plight and seeking his guidance. Without uttering a word, the hermit offered them food, shelter, and directions to their destination. The travelers were astonished by his kindness and hospitality. They asked how he knew what they needed without them saying a word. The hermit smiled and replied, 'In the silence of my heart, I can hear the unspoken words of the world.'" The old man paused again, allowing the profound message to sink in. Then he continued, "From that day on, I realized the true power of silence. It is not just the absence of words, but the presence of deep listening and understanding." The hermit had learned to be in tune with the world around him, to listen to the whispers of nature, and to sense the needs of those who crossed his path. The villagers were deeply moved by the story. They realized that the old man was imparting a valuable lesson, that true wisdom lay not in the constant chatter of the mind, but in the profound stillness of the heart. The old man concluded, "Dear friends, the power of silence is not just about speaking less, but about listening more to the world, to others, and most importantly, to yourself. In the quietude of your own being, you will find answers to the questions that trouble your mind. In the stillness of your heart, you will discover the path to contentment and success." The villagers left the old man's hut with hearts full of gratitude and newfound wisdom. They understood that the secret to a fulfilling life lay not in the pursuit of endless words and desires, but in the practice of silence and deep listening. They returned to their village, forever changed by the old man's story, determined to apply this valuable lesson to their lives. And so, in the village nestled deep within the eastern mountains, the power of silence became a cherished practice. The villagers learned to embrace the moments of quiet reflection, to listen to the whispers of nature, and to speak only when their words were truly necessary. In doing so, they found that they had everything they needed for a content and meaningful life, For the true power of silence had revealed to them the wisdom of the ages, that in stillness one could hear the unspoken words of the world, and in silence one could find everything they sought.